The United States World Cup journey has come to a heartbreaking end, while Belgium celebrates a famous victory and books its place in the quarterfinals. Back home in Belgium, fans erupted in celebration as their team delivered one of its strongest performances of the tournament. Their reward is a massive quarterfinal showdown against Spain this Friday, a matchup that promises to be one of the biggest games of the competition. Following the final whistle, U.S. head coach Mauricio Pochettino shared his honest thoughts in an interview with Jenny Taft. It was clear that the disappointment was still fresh. Pochettino admitted that his team never truly settled into the match. From the opening minutes, the United States struggled to find its rhythm and failed to connect with the game the way they had throughout the tournament. Even after pulling a goal back to make it 2-1, the response was short-lived, as Belgium struck almost immediately to regain complete control. According to the U.S. manager, the performance simply wasn't representative of the team everyone had watched throughout the World Cup. He emphasized that both the collective effort and several individual performances fell below the standards the squad had established. Taking full responsibility, Pochettino stated that the first person accountable was himself and promised that the coaching staff would carefully analyze what went wrong. Despite the painful defeat, the support from the American fans remained unwavering until the very end. As players walked off the field, they were applauded by supporters who had stood behind the team throughout the tournament. Pochettino acknowledged that this World Cup has been an important learning experience. While he admitted that perhaps it simply wasn't their night, he stressed that the squad must study the match, understand the reasons behind the performance, and use those lessons as they continue building for the future. With the round of 16 now complete, the quarter-final picture is becoming clear. Belgium will face Spain in Los Angeles, France is set to take on Morocco in Boston, and Norway will meet England in Miami in another highly anticipated clash. Back in the studio, Rebecca Lowe was joined by Alexis Lalas, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and Thierry Henry to break down what went wrong for the United States. Alexis Lalas began by giving Belgium the credit they deserved. He praised the Belgian side for entering a hostile environment and producing a composed, clinical display. From the American perspective, however, he admitted that the U.S. picked the worst possible moment to deliver its poorest performance of the tournament. Lalas also reflected on the bigger picture. He believes this U.S. team inspired countless fans and helped grow the sport across the country, something every player should be proud of. At the same time, he argued that moral victories are no longer enough. The expectations surrounding American soccer continue to rise, and this defeat will leave the team feeling that a real opportunity slipped away. The disappointment wasn't only about losing, it was about how they lost. Several of Belgium's goals came from avoidable mistakes, errors that proved costly against a quality opponent. The United States has defeated top teams before, but on this occasion, they simply couldn't find the same level. After such an inspiring tournament, their World Cup adventure ended not with one final push, but with a performance that never truly reflected the team fans had come to believe in. Everything about the night began exactly as American fans had hoped. The national anthem echoed around Seattle Stadium, a spectacular military flyover energized the crowd, and the atmosphere felt worthy of a World Cup knockout match. But once the ball started rolling, Belgium quickly took control. Goalkeeper Matt Fries was called into action almost immediately. Having enjoyed a relatively quiet tournament, he suddenly found himself facing a powerful effort destined for the top corner. Fries reacted brilliantly, diving full stretch to produce an outstanding fingertip save. For a brief moment, it looked like that stop might inspire the United States and set the tone for another memorable performance. Instead, Belgium kept coming. Wave after wave of pressure exposed a U.S. defense that simply couldn't find its rhythm. A failure to clear the ball inside the penalty area allowed Charles de Ketelaere to capitalize, calmly finishing into the back of the net. It was an unusually sloppy sequence from a team that had looked composed and disciplined throughout the tournament. Suddenly, the United States found itself trailing early, a situation it had rarely experienced during this World Cup. To their credit, the Americans responded. A dangerous free kick from Tim Weah, aided by a slight deflection, found its way into the net to level the score at 1-1. It was one of the few bright moments for the United States, and for a brief period, it appeared they had regained their confidence. Momentum seemed to shift, and fans believed the match had been reset. Unfortunately, that optimism didn't last long. Belgium responded almost immediately. Leandro Trossard delivered a dangerous cross into the box, and Ketelaere timed his run perfectly to score his second goal of the evening. Although he isn't a traditional striker, he finished both chances with the composure of an elite goal scorer, restoring Belgium's advantage before half-time. The United States nearly found another equalizer before the break. Folarin Balogun created a difficult shooting opportunity after a clever throw-in sequence, but he couldn't keep his effort under control while off balance. It was another chance that slipped away. Then came the defining moment of the match. Trying to play out from the back under heavy pressure, Matt Fries hesitated instead of clearing the ball. Belgium immediately punished the mistake as Hans van Aken capitalized on the turnover to score one of the easiest goals of the tournament. It was a devastating blow, turning a competitive contest into an uphill battle just before half-time. The second half brought renewed energy from the United States, and for a short period, they looked capable of mounting a comeback. A powerful strike narrowly missed finding the net, while Balogun came inches away after forcing an excellent save from Thibaut Courtois. Rather than attacking with his stronger right foot, however, Balogun shifted the ball left, reducing his shooting angle and allowing Courtois to make the stop. Any remaining hope disappeared moments later. Romelu Lukaku showed exactly why he remains one of Belgium's most dangerous forwards. Even after receiving a fortunate deflection, he displayed incredible composure to finish with his weaker right foot, scoring his 93rd international goal and putting the match completely beyond reach. A 4-1 scoreline may have looked harsh, but Belgium proved they were operating on another level. While the United States fought hard throughout this World Cup, the difference in quality was undeniable on the biggest stage. Their dream of reaching a first World Cup quarterfinal since 2002 came to an end, leaving players and fans wondering what comes next as American soccer continues its pursuit of competing with the world's elite. As the match unfolded, Belgium continued to expose every weakness in the United States defense. One attack after another highlighted the difference in quality, composure, and execution between the two sides. The opening goal was a perfect example. Belgium patiently worked the ball wide before delivering an excellent cross into the penalty area. Charles de Ketelaere attacked it with determination, outmuscling Tim Ream and winning the aerial battle with ease. It wasn't just a well-worked goal, it was a demonstration of desire. De Ketelaere wanted the ball more, and his aggressive finish reflected that. Unfortunately for the United States, the defensive problems didn't stop there. Matt Fries's costly mistake became one of the defining moments of the game. Under pressure, the goalkeeper hesitated instead of clearing his lines. At this level, there's no time for hesitation. Belgium immediately punished the error, turning a routine situation into another goal. It was the type of mistake that simply cannot happen in a World Cup knockout match. The same could be said for the rest of the defensive unit. Instead of making simple, decisive clearances, the back line looked uncertain and uncomfortable throughout the night. Every misplaced pass and delayed decision invited more Belgian pressure. Against one of Europe's strongest teams, those mistakes proved devastating. The panel questioned whether the United States had entered the match with too much confidence after an impressive run through the earlier rounds. Whether it was outside expectations or internal belief, Belgium quickly reminded everyone of the gap that still exists between an emerging team and one capable of competing consistently with the world's elite. From the opening whistle, Belgium pressed aggressively, closed down every passing lane, and forced the Americans into rushed decisions. Their technical quality, physical strength, and tactical discipline overwhelmed the U.S. midfield, preventing Mauricio Pochettino's side from ever establishing control of the game. Perhaps the biggest concern wasn't simply the result, it was how quickly the team's confidence disappeared. Veteran midfielder Tyler Adams, normally one of the calmest leaders on the field, struggled to organize the team under pressure. Instead of slowing the game down and helping his teammates regain composure, even he appeared rushed, making uncharacteristic mistakes that reflected the nervousness spreading throughout the entire lineup. Belgium, meanwhile, remained relentless. They pressed with 3 and sometimes 4 players at once, forcing turnovers and capitalizing on every opportunity. Their intensity never dropped, and the Americans simply couldn't cope with the pressure. Another major talking point was Christian Pulisic. Entering the tournament as one of the faces of American soccer, expectations were understandably high. However, This wasn't the World Cup he had hoped for. Limited by inconsistent form and later an injury concern, Pulisic struggled to influence matches the way the United States needed. Against Belgium, he found little space, frequently lost possession, and was unable to provide the spark that had carried the team through previous moments. Even after Malik Tillman's excellent free-kick equalizer briefly restored hope, Belgium responded just 116 seconds later with another goal, immediately shifting momentum back in their favor. It was a crushing response that perfectly illustrated the difference between the two teams. At halftime, the message was clear. Belgium controlled the midfield, dominated the wide areas, and consistently won individual battles across the pitch. The United States still had 45 minutes to fight back, but overcoming such a disciplined and experienced opponent was always going to require something special. On this night, Belgium simply proved too strong, too organized, and too clinical, ending the Americans' inspiring World Cup run with a performance that showcased exactly why they remain among football's elite nations.